Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dina Siti Aisyah, and thank you for having me here to present my research, the application of strategic sourcing to improve competitiveness in the acquisition of new contract in EPC business. This presentation will be divided into 5 parts. Start with research background, statement of research problem, strategic sourcing and literature review, research methodology, and discussion result. In order to survive in the construction industry, a company must be able to win the competition in getting a project and executing it successfully, particularly in EPC business, where the contractor is responsible to deliver not just a product with specific technical requirement, but rather to a product's performance that has been specified by client. In the past 10 to 15 years, EPC contract models has been increasingly favored by the market, especially for complex, multidisciplinary, high-value, and high-risk projects. This led to many companies enter the EPC business, increasing the competition intensity and reduce the price offered in tender phase. Since EPC project is highly dependent to its supply chain, it is clear that the competition is not between EPC company, but rather to a competition between EPC companies' supply chain. To win a competition in getting a new project, a contractor has to be able to offer technical compliance in a good quality and faster delivery schedule with a competitive price. In EPC projects, 70% of cost composition is in procurement phase, with high dependency to equipment's quality and delivery lead time from technology provider. It is imperative that procurement involvement in tender or proposal phase has to be a strategic function rather than tactical. This research is conducted in one of Indonesian state-owned construction company, where data show hit rate or contract acquisition rate for the last 3 years is declining. There are 4 factors that affecting the success or failure of a tender. The first one is administration compliance, technical compliance, partner selection, and price competitiveness. Data show that tender losses is mainly due to price that is less competitive compared with competitor. Flow process in establishing tender price is start with design and quantity optimization by engineering bureau, continued with sourcing material and services price by SGM bureau to form direct cost. It is then used by estimator to form a final proposal price after adding other indirect costs, include overhead, contingency costs, financial costs, profit margin, and tax. Since the largest cost composition is in procurement process, it is very important to review the sourcing process and method carried out at company's supply chain management bureau. This led to the following research questions that are, what is the gap between current strategic sourcing and the best practice? And what is the right strategic sourcing to enhance competitiveness in acquiring new contract? This research aims to identify the gap between current strategic sourcing and best practice, and acquire the right strategic sourcing to enhance competitiveness in acquiring new contract. Strategic sourcing is a process to obtain data and information and use it to build a strategy for supplier selection and supplier management that can provide long-term benefit to the company's performance. Overall, strategic sourcing steps suggested by many literature are almost the same. Here, strategic sourcing steps were grouped into planning process, conducting process, and monitoring and evaluation process. Step 1 up to 4 in the strategic sourcing are part of planning process. Start from purchase categorization, supply market analysis, supply strategy, and evaluation method strategy. Step 5 to 8 are part of conducting process that consists of request for quotation, bid evaluation, negotiation strategy, and supplier selection and contract administration. The last one is supplier relationship management, which includes supplier performance evaluation as part of monitoring and evaluation process. Literature reviewed for this research covers the following area. The first one is supply chain management, construction, supply chain management, strategic sourcing, sourcing models, spend analysis, and supplier segmentation. This research employs two-stage methodology. The first one is to find and analyze the gap between the current strategic sourcing implemented and best practice from literature. This was done by understanding EPC's business process, by reviewing company's manual, continued with reviewing supply chain business process, manual, and procedure. Then, compare it with strategic sourcing steps from literature. This stage has already been done. The second stage consists of several steps, from spending analysis, supplier category segmentation using chronological matrix, and business model mapping to find a suitable sourcing model for each category segmentation. This stage is still on process, but we already have the result of spending analysis. The last step is to have the model to be presented and assessed by management. The assessment is based on possibility and confidence to what extent the proposed sourcing models will contribute to company's competitiveness. After reviewing company's manual and procedure and compare it with 9 strategic sourcing steps in the literature, this is what we found. Steps marked in blue were not conducted as part of organization activity, while the purple were implemented with some variation, and the orange one was implemented accordingly. Purchase category were done by conducting spending analysis based on spend category. Since this step has not been done, the organization a lack of spending visibility in terms of what commodity and services that they buy, in what value, where to buy and how often it is bought. The company not yet explored the possibility for saving with strategic sourcing initiative. Another step in the planning process that were not conducted was supply market analysis. Supply market analysis is a market structure review process for a particular product and service characteristic, understanding the risks and opportunity. The company not yet mapping the potential supplier that can support a company's business focus and assess its power in supply market that will affect supplier-buyer relationship. 2 of 4 steps in planning process and 1 in conduct process marked in purple were already implemented as part of organization activity with some variation that will be explained in the next slide. Step 3 in the planning process were already implemented with some variation. As we can see in the table, the best practice, the decision regarding how many sources that will be utilized were decided during planning process based on category segmentation and supply market analysis. While in current condition, the decision is made during bidding evaluation process based on technical, financial capacity, and commercial evaluation. Second, in the best practice, there were 3 methods used in acquiring supply. The first one is competitive bidding, direct appointment, and blanket order. These 3 methods also implemented in current organization, but with some limitation. Competitive bidding was used widely, but direct appointment is highly restricted. It is applicable only if it meets certain conditions such as, in a force majeure condition, business critical asset related purchasing, vertical integration purchasing strategy, and patent related product and license. Blanket order was not applicable in department level. It is only applicable in corporate level and covers only rebar and cement purchasing. This will limit the Supply Chain Management Bureau saving opportunity, as well as secure supply capacity for commodity other than rebar and cement. Third, best practice suggests various relationship models: exclusive and non-exclusive supplier, and also partnership, while current organization only use non-exclusive vendor or subcontractor relationship models. Fourth, best practice plan the source for each spend category, whether it buys from original equipment manufacturer, distributor, or agent based on supply market analysis. While in the current condition, the decision is not strategically defined in planning stage. Moving on to step 4 in planning process, evaluation method suggests in best practice we're using total cost of ownership, while in current organization using lowest buying cost with 3-stage evaluation process. Legal and administration document, technical compliance include financial capacity evaluation and commercial evaluation. Buying costs cover all costs needed to deliver the product's performance to client until warranty period. Other costs such as operational costs and other long-term costs were not included in commercial evaluation. But the requirement for product reliability were already included in technical requirement. Step 7 in strategic sourcing as part of conducting process were negotiation strategy. Best practice in the literature suggests to build several alternative or scenario to negotiate. Best, most likely, and worst alternative. While on current condition, organization using 2-step negotiation strategy. The first one is through manual auction or electronic auction, followed by face-to-face negotiation. In auction, bidders work against each other, resulting a shortlist bidder which will be selected for face-to-face negotiation. Auction was meant to cover a lack of negotiation skill or uneven negotiation skills among buyers. In second stage of negotiation, buyer does not prepare specific negotiation strategy. Moving on to stage 2 of research methodology, category-based and supplier-based spend analysis was conducted in a power plant type project, valued more than 427 billion rupiah in total, divided into 657 purchase order and service contract for 161 commodity and 184 suppliers. In category-based analysis, more than 70% spending is allocated only for 2 category level 1, mechanical and civil. From level 3 commodity perspective, more than 70% spending is allocated only for 16 commodity and services. Most spending is for boiler and auxiliary and turbine generator, which consume more than 26% from total spending. In supplier-based spend analysis, more than 70% spending is allocated only for 15 suppliers. Most of supplier-based cost structure reflect commodity-based cost structure. This step will be further continued with supplier or commodity segmentation. Sixteen main categories from spend analysis will be segmented using COROGIC metric based on 2 parameters. First parameter is commodities complexity and supply risk, and another parameter is profit impact. The next steps is to find the best relationship and economic model for commodity in each segment using a business model mapping template. To find the best sourcing business model using a sourcing business model matrix. By combining the chosen relationship models and economic models, we can get suitable sourcing models and architect the agreement. Stage 3, or the last stage of research methodology, is to have the model to be assessed by management based on the possibility and the confidence that the proposed sourcing model will contribute to a company's competitiveness. Some adjustment or improvement to the model might be needed based on management feedback. That brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you.